Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field at Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoes, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas key. You with me, sheesh. Benito, Chief Keef.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They've been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We've been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in mine, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, And it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Mafia, Bitcoin getting a little bit of support here on our last resort level, sitting at, between $85,000 and $82,000, guys. Bitcoin getting a little bit of a pop to the upside, guys. Is this the start of a bigger retracement, potentially pushing into local targets of about $92,000 and some higher targets between about $96,000 and $103,000? Are we pushing up? Is this the retracement? Are the altcoins going to continue popping to the upside? We're going to cover it all in today's live stream. Are we finally bullish long-term, guys? Well, obviously, with the money flow coming out on the higher time frames, guys, I am still looking for lower prices here, but we could get some support here at our key level for some kind of a significant bounce to the upside. I'm going to talk about exactly where I would expect the bounce to go if we do indeed see it come in. And if we do drop back down, we'll talk about some of those key levels of support. We'll update you guys on how I'm personally handling this price action personally. And yeah, we're going to give you guys the sauce and maybe a little bit of the recipe here on the live stream. So shout out to the Mafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. Shout out to Gen Z, said dead cat bounce, then zero. Oh my God. Shout out to Gen Z. Long time no see. He was just in the premium Discord a few minutes ago. We got Dave Hagan in the chat. We got Erica. What is going on, guys? The usernames on YouTube are all different now. They're all just like ats, and they're all different. Shout out to Erica. I can still kind of recognize you because you're Erica CandleMafia chick. Shout out to you. Welcome in. We got Jesse in the chat. Some people fixing their names. I don't know what happened. I guess YouTube updated, and now everybody's name is different. Very interesting. But thank you for being here, guys. We got Nirvana in the chat. We got Scott in the chat. Said, get that goat fired up. Let's go. Phoebe's ready. Phoebe is ready, guys. Let's see if we can push this thing a little bit higher. But without further ado, guys, don't forget to smash that like button. We're going for 550 likes on tonight's live stream. I know we could do it, Mafia. Smash up the likes if you haven't not already. We got Kenda in the chat. I can't see that full name, but shout out to you. We got Smoking Wrench in the chat. Nirvana, I think we already shouted out. We got Rudy. Karishamella said, hope you recognize me, Frankie. I won't say the last word, but shout out to Karishamella. Karishamella, welcome in, brother. Welcome in. But yeah, guys, there we go. Jesse and Dazman in the chat. Hey again, Frankie. Shout out to Dazman. Well, now we can start. Jay Violet's here. Let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, guys. So here we are on the Bitcoin chart. This is where you want to look if you're looking for the price of Bitcoin. And we obviously have gotten the continuation down here, guys. You know, I'm not going to cover like the super long term like in detail today, but obviously as we've lost our $108,000 key level of support, macro value area high, just to give a little bit of insight into how we got here, right? We knew once we lost that level, it was very key to get back above here, because once we lost it, we were looking for that fulfill of the volume profile, pushing us down to about $94,000 to $91,000. We are then lost that value area low, and we did have these Fibonacci retracements. We came down here last week, and this was the key level here, guys. 786 sitting at about $85,500. We talked about the level many a times. Obviously, that money flow crossover into the red on the higher time frames, keeping the bearish outlook here medium term / long term until proven otherwise. Of course, guys, crazy things can happen. If we start flipping some of these bigger key levels at about $111,000, we can start talking about maybe some kind of surprise push into new all-time highs. But of course, with the money flow coming out, my sentiment does remain for lackluster retracements, lower highs and lower lows. The real question is, if we do see this play out, how high can we go before potentially looking for that bigger rollover to see this high time frame money flow continue into the red? And you might be looking at this chart and being like, hey, Frankie, why are you talking about keeping a bearish sentiment when you have this green dot on market cipher B? Well, obviously, guys, we look at these green and red dots as ebbs and flows in the market, when that money flow would indicate the overall continuation of the trend. This is obviously one of the huge things that we were looking at. You can see the 2-day money flow crossover as we were losing $108,000. This is no surprise, right? Obviously, no surprise that we got this drop down. High time frame money flow crossovers, timing of the cycle, the bearish confirmations. We have the weekly, the 2-week, the monthly bearish divergences. Looking very likely that we would see a big drop to the downside here. And with this money flow crossovers, guys, I am still going to be looking for those lackluster retracements, higher lows and higher highs. But as we looked at last week, we are at support, right? This is not the place to get overly bearish looking for fresh short positions, right? If anything, you got to look for the bounces. And we are holding this technically, guys. We did close that weekly candle back on top of that 786. So that is nice locally. Now, of course, as I said, do not think this is the low before new all-time highs. Of course, that can change once we start flipping out of these key levels of resistance. But as of right now, just want to be very clear before we continue on, right? Even these aggressive bounces to the upside could get swallowed up for lower highs and lower lows. Oh my God, head and shoulders, right? We actually could look out for that. But overall, right, if we get this continuation of the bounce, is it possible? Well, as we looked at last week, we do have some of the high time frame green dots looking to print. 2 days already there. 3-day also printing the green dot. 4-day looking to have this VWAP come up. Once that VWAP comes up and crosses that 0 line, we will be looking for that green dot to print. Your 5-day VWAP also rolling up. 6-day curving up as well. And then even on the weekly time frame, your VWAP is trying to push back to the upside here, giving us those green dots. Now, of course, money flow is still coming out, but we can see the continuation of this retracement, which this is the last place, guys. This was the last level that we looked at last week, where you would hope for some kind of a retracement to the upside to get a little bit of relief before potentially coming lower. And beautiful, right? We waited for this level for quite some time. We're starting to get the bounce. Now the question is, how high can we go? So if we pull up the little bit of the lower time frames, I'm going to hide the 786. I think everybody knows that's sitting there at about $85,500. But if we look at some of these lower time frames, you can see if we pull up the 4-hour, this money flow is attempting to come up into the green. Now this is not step on the fact that the higher time frame money flow is coming out, but this could indicate, right, a little bit more of a continuation to the upside. If we can get that money flow crossover into the green, we can potentially look for a little bit of a push to the upside here. Of course, viewing it through the lens of a retracement, where we are going to have some major key levels of resistance. You can see one forming right here around $96,000 on the Golden Pocket PLC confluence. But all in all, right, I am going to be looking at this volume profile as our guide to these retracements back up to higher prices, right? We have the value area low sitting here at about $91,000 to $92,000. And then above that, we have the POC. Once we flip the POC, there is a possibility that we could get the bigger retracement up into about $102,000 to $103,000, which of course is going to be confluent with our 50-week moving average. Now, we did see a bit of a bearish confirmation here over the weekend, which is of course the second weekly candle closure below the 50-week moving average. We talked about this. It's part of the reason why that $108,000 level was so key to stay on top of, because if we started losing this, especially, right, the big reason why we were worried about this was because of the way the money flow looked on the higher time frame, such as the 2-day, right? But this was kind of the last place to bounce, get back out of the range for a new all-time high to come, right? If we got stuck inside this range, we knew we would very likely fill the range in full, and of course, we have gotten the deviation below. But, you know, every other cycle, if we come back here into 2021, you can see, as we've covered many a times, you know, you get the 2 weekly candle closures, which we, of course, have done now at this point. But you have the 2 weekly candle closures down there that does indicate that the top is in on Bitcoin, and you do get the big drop down. But then you get a pretty significant bounce to the upside of about 45%. But what does that bring you into? It brings you directly into that 50-week moving average, which every other cycle has proven impossible to get above, right? Not my opinion, just simply what has happened in the past, right? Especially when you look at the timing of the cycles, right? This late in the cycle, you close the 2 weekly candles, you dip, You get the pullback to the 50-week moving average to get a lower high, a macro lower high for a continuation into the depths of the bear market. Same thing back here in 2014. Actually, I already have these drawings, still have these drawings here from last week. We didn't get the full retracement after the big drop, but you did get a local retracement here. So kind of what we're hoping for here, guys, is the bigger retracement into that 50-week moving average, right? Now, this is kind of the highest that I'm going to be looking as of now, right? Because, of course, we can come higher if we flip that 50-week moving average, but we have not ever seen that happen. But if it does, we do have some other levels of resistance. It's still not until we start flipping 111 to 110K where I start to feel a little bit better about that bigger push to the upside. Until then, we are going to have to look at all of this as major resistance. So mark it off on your chart. 50-week moving average comes in at about $102,300 as of right now, right? This, and again, has proven to be every cycle the biggest level of resistance to get above, right? Ends in the lower high and the lower low. Now, exactly how this plays out is beyond me, right? Maybe we kind of bing-bong around up there, and then we get a move over, again, giving you that kind of head and shoulders formation that I'm sure I can just tell by the formation of this chart that a lot of people are probably looking for that. It would make a lot of sense. Kind of obvious, in my opinion, right? A little bit of a very, very easy kind of head and shoulders to look for. So maybe it doesn't play out, but at the end of the day, that 50-week moving average is going to be your biggest level of resistance. Now, of course, we do have local levels here on the way, but, if potentially, right, if we see that what we typically have seen in previous cycles, that, 26% retracement into the 50-week moving average, this could potentially look pretty good for a little while, right? But I want to kind of set expectations for these bounces, just like we have on all of the bounces ever since we got the big drop down, is, hey, this could get very exciting. And listen, if we get above there and we start flipping 110, 111K, maybe it does actually start to look good. But the overall anticipation is that this will be massive, massive, massive resistance. Once we get above there, we'll cross this whole bridge up here when we get there, if we get there. But the highest I'm willing to look right now is about $102,000 to $103,000. We do also have confluence in this area as well. So just from a simple standpoint, you can pull up that 50-week moving average and just get that on your chart, right? Obviously, this is support, right? We now broken down below that with the 2 weekly candle closures. Bearish, right? Definitely not a good sign. So there you go, right? And we always talk about, as of right now, right, this being the low is very difficult for me to say, right? Because we don't have any massive bullish divergences or anything like that. Like, you have no 2-day bull divs. You can see back here, we did get the 2-day bullish divergence. This was obviously a different point in the cycle, but you do get the lower lows with the higher lows. But again, right, we don't have the bull div at the end of the day here. But also, right, this is a different scenario. Also, what are we doing here, right? We're testing the 50-week as support. This would be different even if we did get a 2-day bullish divergence down here. You're dealing with the bearish condition of being below that 50-week this late in the cycle. Obviously, 2026, 4-year cycle-wise, being the expected bear market year. Now, not looking super, super good. But that's enough of the bearish talk, right? Let's go down to these lower time frames because, again, that 4-hour money flow coming up could indicate that we are headed a bit higher here. Again, it's kind of a difficult job here, guys, because it's like, are you bullish or bearish on Bitcoin, right? And I always say, like, timing is a big thing when I get asked that question. You need a lot more context to these questions. Am I bullish on Bitcoin? Yes. I do think over time Bitcoin will continue to trend to the upside. But, it's very hard for me to say that it does not look like the top is in on Bitcoin and that we're probably going into a bear market. So just setting those expectations for those bounces, because honestly, the worst thing to do is if you do get up here and you do end up seeing those bearish confirmations at 102 to 103K, the worst thing to do is to start getting overly bullish on that pump to the upside, especially if the overall context is calling for the lower high and the lower low. Now, if I do pull our Fibonacci retracements here, you can see that our golden pocket pulled from this lower high to the low does come in right on that 50-week moving average. I'll pull it up just so you guys can see it. Right hither. Right, so obviously you do have that confluence there. And I'll pull this up in more detail over on our actual chart, which is the Bybit chart. So let's just talk about the local bounce to the upside, right? If we pull up our local range here, where's it at? 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 There it is. So here we are, right? We had the don't break now trading view. Don't break now. Or do. Okay, there we go. All right, so obviously, biggest level, we had tons of MPOCs down here. I've since taken them off the chart, guys, so I don't have those levels down here. But between 85,500 and 82,500, even down to this value area low at 80,500, right, was our value area low of the range. Bounce there, get above the POC. From the POC, we look to go to the value area high. But with this 4-hour money flow coming up, guys, if we can get this to cross over into the green, we're hoping, right, that you can get a push out of this volume profile into our more significant level of resistance, which in my opinion does sit up here on the 786 value area low, where we also have a weekly Where's it at? Okay. Where are my weekly MPOCs? There they are. How'd they get all the way up here? There we go. So you have the weekly MPOC right on that value area low, which is, of course, just our value area low of our previous range. You have the 786 of your local Fibonacci retracement. Right now, we're fighting up against the golden pocket, right? So key level resistance number one. But I do, with the money flow coming up, think that there is probably a high probability that we can come up here and push into about, call it $90,000 to $92,000. You have your anchored VWAP from 107.4 coming in confluence at that level as well. So you have the 786, you have the value area low, the weekly MPOC, and the anchored VWAP. So this is going to be a big level, right? And this being the value area low, we all know could be resistance until proven otherwise, right? If we could flip that value area low, I think the next big level to look at, so just to mark these off and give you guys the actual key levels, hyper locally, sitting right here between the golden pocket and the value area high at about 88,600. And do we have another level down here? I think it's I might have deleted it. It was an old daily MPOC. But right here, right, golden pocket, value area high, sitting between about 88.7 and 88.225. Golden pocket, value area high confluence. So maybe we get a little turbulence here, but at the end of the day, if this 4-hour money flow can cross into the green, we already have the 2-hour money flow crossing into the green as well. So maybe we get a little correction here. You do have some of the bear divs forming. But the hope here for the push up, guys, is to continue the money flow into the green on the 2-hour, see that 4-hour money flow cross back into the green as well, where I will be looking up here, again, towards about $90,000 to $92,000. Hopefully that anchored VWAP is confluent up there. So these are the two major levels of resistance that we have immediately above us. We're hitting one right now, starting to get a little bit of a rejection, and then the next one, and the more important level, in my opinion, is sitting between 90,000 and 92K. Once we get above there, right, the only other big levels that I can look at personally is I'm going to pull up the horizontal levels here. I'll pull up the MPOCs, pull up the dailies, the weeklies, the monthlies, and I will hide the volume profiles just to give you guys a nice clear view. So, when we just look at this from a horizontal standpoint, right, weekly MPOC in that 91 to 92K zone. Once we get above that, which will also get us above the value area low of the range, we would be looking, right, from a volume profile perspective, we would expect to go up to that point of control. If I just pull this up very quickly, get above the value area low, next likely place for price to go with money flow coming up, right? If we can get that 4-hour money flow crossover into the green, that would indicate that we could continue the uptrend. And the next target would be the POC of the range, which sits right here at about $96,800. And it's also very confluent with our horizontal support, resistance levels, right? Sitting right here. So these are going to be the biggest levels to look at to the upside, leading into our next big area of confluence, which of course is confluent with the 50-week moving average. You can see it all up here, right? Not much between where we are now and the first weekly MPOC. Once you get above there, there's not much between that and the POC of the range and all this confluence. Once you get above this, there's not much in the way, leading you into that 50-week moving average. And I'll pull it up just so you can see it. Look at that confluence, right? So I'll take this back off. Grab a box, pull it up here, and now this will be a little bit of a bigger zone between about 105 and 102.6, 102.7 pretty much. So these are the big levels, right? I am interested in potential rejections here at the weekly MPOC. Once we get above there, I'm sitting on my hands until we can make it back up here, sitting between 95 and 90, call it 95 and 97K. If we can get above the POC, typically we are looking for a push into the value area high, which technically the target is open if you could flip that point of control, right? You look to wiggle your way up, deviate below the low, get accepted back into the range. POC is the next stop. Flip the POC. You could start to target the value area high of the range, which is also very key resistance at 108K. But obviously, we do have all this confluence sitting there just before. So I'm not instantly going to expect a high probability fill unless we see the high time frame money flow cross back into the green. I won't necessarily be guaranteeing this target just because we have this big wall in front of us, right? And of course, I don't think we're going to come up here by tomorrow. If we do, right, we'll see where that 50-week moving average is, and we'll kind of look at the reactions there. But again, with the high time frame money flow coming out, these are very important levels to be paying attention to, guys, because if we are indeed going to put in lower highs and lower lows, the highest probability areas to do this, right, and we can start to pull our Fibonacci retracements to see where we have all the confluence. I'll even hide some of these upper MPOCs to clean up the chart, right? And maybe, you know what, even if I hide all this, right, let me hide these boxes real quick, and we'll just look at this from a volume profile perspective, right? I'm going to pull some significant Fibonacci retracements. We'll pull from the absolute high to the low, which of course does give you the full retracement, right? This is potentially an area we could come up to and still put in the lower high and the lower low, right? This is why I say, like, even if we get this push up to the 50-week moving average, like, we still have a lot of things to get above in order to start feeling really good about a push into new all-time highs. And of course, that money flow is very indicative of that, right? These 3-day money flow crossovers do not happen very often. They are usually very significant. And again, green and red dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market. Money flow indicates the overall trend. Well, this would obviously be money flow coming up, but you got ebb, flow, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, right? But when that money flow comes out, you're going to be looking for the overall continuation of that downtrend, right? Does that make sense? I've obviously been repeating this a lot lately throughout this entire move down. That's been our bias based off money flow. It's the same thing here. But because we are hitting such key support, because we have that medium time frame money flow coming up, it could be somewhat of an exciting bounce. But you don't want to get overly bullish there, right? So major Fibonacci retracement, high time frame stuff here, guys. There you go. $108,000. Massive, massive, massive level to get above. Once we can flip above, say 108K, get back above this value area high, we could start to look for, I would start to feel a little bit better about getting back up into our upper value area here and pushing higher. And then once we flip above 116K, that's the last level, right, in my opinion, right? We have a lot of liquidity. If we take a look at the liquidation heat maps real quick, let me just pull this up real fast. Where we at? Let me pull up a little bit of a higher time frame. I'll pull up the 1 year because that's kind of the only time frame that I could pull up to see this stuff because it's so far back at this point. Come on, heat map. Let's go. Take a sip of the black coffee. Even here, it's a little bit difficult to see, but above 116K, maybe I'll pull up like the 3-month maybe. Try to get this a little bit more visible for you guys. Obviously, we had all this liquidity down here that we've now washed out. Another reason why, we've taken out all the liquidity. Maybe we can get a little retracement. But you can see the next big area of liquidity is at 116K, right? And again, that is confluent with a major level of resistance, right? So these are like huge, huge levels. I can't promise we're going to get up there. Same thing as 2021, right? Like if I were expecting, right, we have high time frame money flow coming to the downside. You're expecting lower highs and lower lows, and you're always going to be paying attention to that full Fibonacci retracement. This one was sitting at about 54K, but you could see that was not guaranteed, right? We actually wound up coming down to a more local Fibonacci retracement and rejecting that one, right? There's no way to tell if you're going to get like the full retracement other than just looking at the charts and reacting to the actual indications that you get at the key level. But, if we got above this would still be a major level of resistance to look at, where a lower high could come in before continuing down. Right now, the level that I just pulled up on the current price action is basically this full Fibonacci retracement. So just to show that, right? It's not guaranteed that we get there. What could we get slapped down by before we get to that full golden pocket retracement? Well, hey, might be the 50-week moving average, which was right before that, right? So it's basically the same situation. There's your golden pocket retracement. There's the 50-week moving average. That if you're not going to get that full retracement, that might be the place to get the rejection. It doesn't have to play out exactly like it did in 2021, but obviously definitely does clock, as the kids would say. It's not clocking to you, bro. But anyway, so there you go, right? Major level. Can't promise we get up there, but it's super high time frame, really important level. 108 to 110K. Now, if we start pulling some of these other retracement levels, right, I'll pull from this lower high to the lower low. You can see we do have anchored to VWAP, 50-week moving average, golden pocket, 786 PLC confluence, right? So I would say these are the biggest retracement levels to look at. And even if we pull this, right, it does get confluent with the value area high and this zone, right? So I'm going to skip that retracement because we have those levels covered by the other retracements. But, this is, I would say, very similar to the retracement level that we rejected last cycle, right? It was that earlier, more local 786 retracement. You didn't go for the full retracement. You went ahead and took out that local one, right, which was confluent with the 50-week moving average. Very, very, very similar, right? So definitely an important level. These are the biggest macro levels to look at. 96, 500 to 102,000, 103,000, right? But this is going to move, right? Currently, the 50-week moving average sits at 102 to 281. But as we push, right, this is going to move around. So I would say that zone is between about 96,478 and $102,084. And then above that, obviously, once we get above this 786, well, guess what? We're also on top of the POC of the range, right? And we can look for that value area high. But again, that is still massive, 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 massive resistance. It's not until we flip there that I am starting to feel a lot better, hopefully with money flow coming up on the higher time frames. But again, that is the lower probability outcome, guys. I have to be clear about that. Although, people have been saying, like, is it confirmed that the bear market is in? it's hard for me to say that, right? Because like anything can happen. But it does look very high probability that the top is in here. Based off many different factors. 50-week moving average, timing of the cycles, all the massive bearish confirmations that we had seen in all the previous, or not all the previous cycles, but at least 2021, right? We'll pull up the, right? Monthly, 2-week, weekly bearish divergences, monthly, 2-week, weekly bearish divergences, all the money flow headed in the same direction, right? Timing of the cycle is almost exactly the same. So again, right, like it does look very likely. We've now closed 2 weekly candles below the 50-week moving average, which every other cycle has indicated that the top is in. So, I can't say 100% the bear market is here, right? Because at the end of the day, who knows? Maybe we get some kind of crazy scam to the upside and we go take the highs again. That would be great. But I would definitely say from a chart perspective, the higher probability is that the top is probably in. But I can't say that without people understanding, right, that there is a possibility, right, that something completely different happens. It's just lower probability. You don't have to take the guess and just stick with it, right? As soon as I see those confirmations start to flip more bullish, well, then the expectation is new all-time highs. But until that happens, right, I cannot call for all-time highs. So take that for what it's worth. It's the same thing on the way down here. It's like, hey, if we get down to 91K, money flow is probably going to be coming out. It's going to be really hard for me to call for all-time highs. What happens? We wind up putting in lower highs locally, and we continue down. It's the same thing. Now, if we wound up getting down here and there were massive bullish divergences, we weren't losing the 50-week, there was money flow was coming up on the higher time frames, we would have called for a very likely higher low on the golden pocket, which we never held, right? But if we did, right, the signs were there. We would have been saying, well, hey, this actually doesn't look as bad as we thought as we got down here, right? We thought it would look bearish, but it wasn't. But obviously the case was it was still looking bearish. But if it didn't, right, I have to flip my sentiment, right? I pay attention to the charts. That's what I make all my decisions based off of. And if the sign isn't there, I can't call for it. And more often than not, it is right? So if we get up here and it starts to look a little bit better, right, we'll probably know, right? We look to flip up into the value area high. And then really it's not until we break above 116K, which remember, there's a lot of liquidity opportunities for some kind of an SFP before continuing down. Once we flip that 786, it's looking a lot more likely that we could put in new all-time highs. But it is the lower, not impossible, but definitely the lower probability scenario. I hate to say it, right? But it's just what's on the charts. I wish it looked different, guys. But there you go. So if we can continue up here, maybe we'll get a little rejection from this local value area high. But if we do continue up, we're looking at it between about $91,000 to $92,000. That's your doorway to higher prices. Higher prices meaning into the golden pocket POC at about $96,000, which of course is confluent with our horizontal support levels, or resistance levels, I should say, right? I'll hide the boxes just to clear it up, right? Does that make sense? It's all confluent there. I'll even hide the Fibonacci retracement, right? 96 to $95,000. If the rejection doesn't come in here, that's the next place to look. Once we flip that, we could start to look up towards 103K. If we get above that, it's the value area high, which is still macro resistance, right? So it's like, it looks good, right? Like, oh, this is great. But I just want to set the expectations because I don't want everybody to get overly bearish. I mean, unless there's a reason to be, which we'll see on the charts. But, this could get very exciting. It's going to be very easy for people to be like, I knew it wasn't the bear market. Oh, my God. But this 100% will not invalidate the higher time frame bearish sentiment, right? So 91 to 92, 95 to 96. Once we get above that, 102 to 105K. Once we get above there, we'll start to look at that value area high. But these are the next big levels to look at, in my opinion. So I will come into chat here in just a second. And yeah, all right, 4-hour money flow. Let's see if we can get that to continue up, guys. This doesn't look bad medium term. But this 4-hour money flow trend, right, if it does continue with higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right, this could just be a 4-hour trend. This would not trump any of these higher time frames, right? That 4-hour money flow crossover giving us the trend up will essentially just be the green dot giving us the retracement before potentially rolling back over to lower prices to line up with that money flow. Does that make sense? All right, so let me come into chat here real quick. Shout out to Brad. Said he's a good man. Who are you talking about? You talking about me, Brad? Shout out to Brad. I don't know. Maybe you're talking about somebody else. I need a hug after this past month's roller coaster chart. Shout out to Experimental Life. Yes, sure is a lot of people that probably could use a vacation right about now. Chances of getting to 90K before 4 a.m. is very low. Shout out to Lucia. All right, not super far away. I don't know what time zone you're on. Maybe 4 a.m. is in like 5 minutes. In that case, I'd probably say yes. Shout out to Wick's wife and Wick 589. Hopefully you guys, your names stayed the same so I could recognize you guys. Hello from Italy. Shout out to Man. I can't see that full name, but starts with Man. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to the homeland, Italy. I'm like a New York Italian, guys. I'm not like if I went to Italy, they'd probably be like, this guy's not Italian. I'm like a New Yorker. I am Italian. I'm mostly Italian. Sicilian, to be precise. Shout out to Pitbull, said Frankie is a bear. Shout out to Pitbull. I actually talked in the premium Discord about this a little bit, right? Like the idea of like being a bear or being a bull is very emotional, right, in itself. And again, it has a lot to do with context, right? Like, am I a bull or am I a bear, right? Well, it depends on the context, right? Like if you tell me the 4 hour, it's like, well, I would pretty much be looking for a continuation up. I guess that would make me a bull, right? If we talk about the 2 day with the money flow coming out, the 3 day with the money flow coming out, I mean, I guess I would still be a bull until looking for the lower high, right? And then that would make me a bear. But if you zoom out enough, right, it's like on the weekly, I'm a perma bull on Bitcoin. You know, just because we break below the 50-week moving average does not mean we're never going to go back up. So I don't classify myself as a bear or a bull. I am a trader, right? So, you know, we flip-flop. The second this looks right, I could be a bear right now. The second that we start to flip those key levels and the chart is looking bullish, well, I'm just going to flip to a bull. I recommend trying to leave the emotional bear versus bull thing in the past, right? Because it's just like, at least for me personally, right? Like I trade the charts. If the chart says you should be a bear, then you should be a bear. As soon as it says I'm a bull, I'm going to flip to be a bull. It's where a lot of people who don't understand charts will be like, you just flip-flop, so you're right. Not at all, right? I flip-flop because I want to continue to be right, right? Like obviously the high time frame money flow here did indicate, right? We talked about this many times. Like this drop down, guys, is not surprising if you watch the channel. Once we lost that 108K level with all the money flow coming out, we were like, if we lose this, right, you have to start questioning, like, is the cycle over, right? And that was all based off the chart and the 4-year cycle and, mostly the chart, right? However, right, like, if price just rips up, right, anything can happen. If price just starts scooting to the upside and we start playing around with that 786 and we can get above it, it's like at that point, right, the invalidation of the chart is there. So you just got to flip more bullish, right? That's just at the end of the day. You don't want to just keep fading and, you'll see this, right? If we start to see the signs that we're going to go higher, you will 100% see me up here saying, hey, guys, this actually looks pretty good, right? That doesn't mean that I can say it looks really good down here. It's not about gambling like, is this the low? Then you have to stick with the low is in, and you got to hope for the highs to come in, right? I just listen to the charts. And I will keep my sentiment until it gets invalidated. Once it gets invalidated, we want to be on the right side of the trades as well. So we'll flip long. Once it looks better to start buying the lows to ride a bigger continuation of the trend to the upside, well, then that's what we'll do, right? But from a cycle perspective, from a TA perspective, this is looking like the higher probability. Even if you don't even have to get up this high, but even if we did, right? That is the way that the charts are pointing. So it's not really about being a bear or a bull. It's just about, reading what the charts are telling us and hoping that it is going to be right? It's an educated guess, I guess you can call it, which are obviously right a lot. Not because I'm the best, right? Just because the TA plays out more than it doesn't, right? Probably 70 to 80% of the time. Shout out to Brad. Brad said TA is astrology. Yeah, TA doesn't work. We're just the luckiest people in the world then. Yeah, shout out to Brad. I would recommend learning how to read the charts. It's if TA is astrology, right? The astrology for crypto bros, then we would just be the luckiest people in the world, right? Like this chart has been screaming down, whether it's a bear market or not, right? It has been bearish ever since we lost 108K. And, couldn't have been more clear about that, right? Like, this is not a shock if you watch the channel at all. But, yeah, the charts are astrology for crypto bros is, like, the funniest argument ever. It's like, I guess we're just lucky. We're just drawing random lines and just happen to be right more than we're wrong. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. But, yeah, it's I would actually argue the opposite. I don't know what you would trade off of unless you're, it also depends on your timeline, right? It's like, I'm not a narrative guy. The reason for that is because it never really plays out in the favor that you want it to. But it's like, I don't know what else you'd be trading off of, right? Like, what else? You see bullish news and then price comes down. Like, there really wasn't super bullish news here, but it's like the news, right? If you're trading based off the news, you're too late, right? We saw this on the big liquidation wick, right? We were short either a day or maybe 2 days beforehand. All the charts were pointing for a rotation back down to 94K, or I'm sorry, wherever that local value area was. Let's see. Right down here, right? And then the news comes out, the Trump tweet. Oh, my God, right? But we were short all the way up here. Well, those signs for that short Whether that tweet came in or not. We were short from here, looking to come down to the value area low. So more often than not, you will see that play out. And yeah, I mean, even all the bullish news, right? Like you get bullish news events, and more often than not will mark off the top. I won't pull up the chart with everything labeled because I do that all the time. But yeah, it's when the charts stop working, I'll stop using them, right? I would not be using them if we could not make money with it. Let's see. Shout out to Kate. Shout out to Kate Diggity. He said the charts rub my palms, and they're not hairy. Shout out to Kate Diggity. I don't know exactly what that means. Let's see. If enough people follow the same rules, it makes it a reality. Yes, I would actually agree with that 100%, right? It's like why I argue that Fibonacci retracements work, right? If all traders are looking at the same level, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But that also makes the TA work. If everybody is looking, right, and it's not going to be 100% of the time, right? I think most people who don't believe in TA, it's like they have the wrong idea about TA. They think it's like there's something on the chart here that's going to tell you it's the low before the all-time high. It's just not how it works, right? It's just going to give you the probabilities. If you don't look at it that way, if you don't look at it from you have to shift your mindset from a prediction-based mindset to a probability-based mindset, right? It's not about, oh, the charts say this is the bottom, that's it. Just gamble all your money with no stop loss for a move to the upside, right? It's just a probability, right? And sometimes they don't play out, right? I would say, oftentimes they won't play out, right? But when you look at the probability aspect of it, it's definitely higher probability than not. Otherwise, I'd just be wrong every time I came up here. I'm not right all the time, but yeah, I mean, this Fibonacci retracement, if a lot of traders are looking at this and there is going to be a lot of people shorting that, it's going to create sell pressure. Now, you could argue it will build up a lot of liquidity and then they can squeeze it, of course. But yeah, I mean, it is basically, I would say Fibonacci retracements are a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it kind of assists it in working, if that makes sense. But yeah, let's see. Shout out to Meet Damien said, hi, Frankie. I learned a lot about the visible range volume profile from watching you and your tutorial videos. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to Meet Damien. Hey, I guess TA does work. Shout out to you, man. No problemo. That's what we're here for, providing that free value and helping the Mafia stay on the right side of these trades, right? Not, oh, my God, guys, we're bouncing all-time highs, right? Literally been bearish here for quite some time. Let's see. Can somebody with big bags pump the market, please? Shout out to Experimental Life. Yeah, we gotta hit up Golden real quick. Just help us with the relief bounce a little bit, at least. Shout out to Newbie Noob says, saying TA is astrology is like saying a guitar is just a plank of wood with strings. It's true from that point of view. If you don't know how to play. Exactly. And I think that's why people get really emotional about the charts. Like, this is stupid, man. It's like, it's probably because it's very overwhelming to learn, and most people would like to believe that it's as easy as seeing Bitcoin in the news, oh my God, all-time highs, you can buy in there, and you're just going to get rich instantly. And it is more often than not the case, right? Is this bullish that Bitcoin puts in a new all-time high? Absolutely. Is that where you want to be buying? Depending on your time horizon, sure, maybe it's okay, right? Eventually you're going to be in profit, but of course, right? All-time highs, oh my God, it's on the news. Bitcoin breaks another record high. Literally the top before a 30% pullback. Everyone gets scared. And the only way, right, like when you see the signs on the chart, you could say to yourself, well, hey, when you look at the cycles, right, obviously a bunch of euphoria, or I wouldn't say euphoria, but a lot of excitement, right, that typically marks the top. Doesn't mean it's the top forever, but when you understand the cycles and you can say, well, hey, maybe this is our first 30% pullback. And then if you get the signals here for a rotation back to the upside, and you could say, well, hey, that lines up with the cycle. Probably not the start of the bear market. It would be crazy for Bitcoin to put in like a 7% all-time high and then dump back down. A lot of people thought this was the bear market. We were looking for the continuation up. And it was weird. People were kind of mad at like thinking that when I was saying that, right? They're like, what do you mean? We just dumped 30%. How could that not be a bear market? 20% is a bear market. I'm just like, I don't understand the logic there. But we wind up going into a new all-time high. Same thing down here. Why was I looking for new all-time highs? Well, very simply, I don't make the decisions. The charts do. Right? Why were we looking for new all-time highs from here? Well, we were simply looking at that based off the massive bullish confirmations that we were having. Massive high time frame bull divs. Our money flow was coming back up on the daily. After we confirm that bull div, we start to break the trend line. Money flow continues up, letting you know higher lows and higher highs or continuation was likely, and you get it, right? Different story back up here, right? Because you might be saying, well, then what's not showing up down here? We have no bull divs, And we don't have money flow coming back up. As a matter of fact, the higher time frame money flow is actually coming out, right? Which is the opposite. So we'll see. I mean, I pray that it's wrong here. I pray that if there's one time where the TA is wrong, I hope it's here. But again, it's not just the TA either. But we'll see. Shout out to Meet Damien said, I've seen other traders talk about the VPVR, but Frankie's VPVR tutorial video is fire. Yeah, shout out to Matt. That's my favorite tool, guys, is the volume-based tools. The fixed range volume profile, the visible range volume profile. And the reason for that is they're not just like magic lines on the chart, right? These levels are derived from the actual volume being traded at each level. So, yeah. Let's see. 11K cash, 5K profit at the real K Diggity. Shout out to Mad Ads. I'm not sure what that is in reference to. 4-hour candle, shooting star style. Yeah, as we push into resistance, a little bit of a bearish hammer there maybe. But again, money flow not looking super bad here on the 4-hour. Of course, this can fake out in a bearish environment like this. But yeah, I mean, we're at resistance. There it is. Golden pocket. Got some low time frame bear divs as well. All right. 1-hour bearish divergence printing. But of course, with your money flow coming up on the 4-hour, could just be a little pullback before continuing up. I am not holding a trade right now, by the way, guys. Right. So I'm indifferent here. Right. I'm just waiting for the key levels to get hit. If we come back down, as far as support goes, guys, we're going to have to be waiting for some lower prices, for me personally, right? Unless I can catch like some kind of like nice local retracement into the POC, we'll see what happens, right? We got the 80K psychological level down here, and then we have a weekly MPOC sitting at about 78,550. So yeah, I'm just going to be looking at this as a range, right? Maybe we can range around here. Back down to the value area low, maybe an opportunity to come back up to the high, and then maybe we go for the retracement after that. But we'll see what this 4-hour money flow does, right? If this winds up faking out overnight, well, we're probably coming back down. If it doesn't, definitely going to be waiting for up here. But again, I'm not holding a position, right? So I'm just like waiting for the next key levels to get hit here, or hit down here. Bada boom. So there you go. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Felix says, with QE, you're going to become so rich, or reach. You're going to become so rich, you will create a bear with horns. A little bit of, I don't know what you would call that. Not bestiality. Crossbreeding animals, I guess. Different than bestiality. But yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's kind of what we need, right? Like, and that's the one thing, right? Like, when we talk about a potential, if the traditional cycle is not going to play out like it has in the past, which looks very likely here. The one way that can change is if we actually see QE, right? But the question is, when will that actually start? Very hard to say, right? Very hard to say. The end of QT is not the same thing as just massive liquidity injection. It's a good first step, right? But that's a big if and when, right? I think that eventually they have to start printing money, right? But the when is kind of the hard thing, right? But again, we just pay attention to the charts, right? Like, if we start looking really good, well, guess what? Flip this. I'm just going to be looking for all-time highs anyway, and then maybe they start printing money and we start shooting, right? But my decision will still be made off the chart, to be quite honest. That's the one thing, in my opinion, that can really change the cycles. If they start printing money like crazy, maybe that is enough to change the cycle. But again, never my base case. All right, let's see. Need that money flow thing. Shout out to NW Crypto. Yeah, this is Market Cypher B. You can check it out. They have a Black Friday sale going on right now as well. All right, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything here. Shout out to David B. David Brumbelow, welcome in, brother. Good to see ya. Wick589 said, what is a skeleton's favorite snack? Shout out to Wick589. I would say, I know, spare ribs. I'm just kidding. I cheated. Shout out to Wick589. Yeah, shout out to FUX says, since I have no clue what the market is going to do, I'm going to continue to be a little old lady and just buy every week regardless of price. And shout out to you, man. Like, again, the kind of your overall plan, right, is going to, a lot of people would say, hey, is this a good place to buy spot Bitcoin, right? Well, at face value, That is a very difficult question to answer, right? Because I don't know exactly what you're looking for, right? At the end of the day, right, you zoom further enough out on the Bitcoin chart, right? Buying the dips is never a bad idea, right? If you have a 10-year outlook or a 5-year or 3-year outlook, right? It's a lot different than if you're looking, like maybe you buy a little bit here, right? And then it's like, if you go into all-time highs, you're exposed. That's great, right? But if you don't, you buy a little bit here, and then on the next drop to the downside, maybe we come into the 60s and the 50s, which looks like a likely target that we would hit. You buy a little bit here, you get the next drop, you lose these lows at 75K, and then you come into this zone and you buy a little bit, right? And then on the way back down, you buy a little bit, right? And you're just dollar cost averaging in, bringing your average entry price lower and lower and lower. You're never going to be able to snipe that exact bottom, right? I talk about it all the time. I did not buy my entire bag here at exactly 115,500. I dollar cost averaged in, right? Waiting for that weekly money flow crossover in the first capitulation. I start to buy, I start to buy, I start to buy. Then we go lower, I buy again. Just dollar cost averaging at what you would think is the bottom of the bear market, which we will keep an eye on for you guys, and I'll keep you updated on what I'm doing. But that's exactly, how it's played out every cycle, right? Weekly money flow crossover into the red, start to dollar cost average, right? And then you eventually come up into the next bull market, et cetera, et cetera. I've gone over that case 100 times, right? So it's the same thing, right? Like if you're just, buy a little here. If it goes up, beautiful. If not, you could buy a little bit more, buy a little bit more, and then eventually it's going to go into all-time highs and you'll have some kind of an average entry price. But it's like, depends on your kind of situation, right? It's like the same thing with the push into new all-time highs. Was this the worst time ever to buy Bitcoin? Not really. You eventually wound up coming up. If you had a long time horizon, it's like, all right, well, I'm expecting the bull market to continue for some time. I'll have some time to come up. I don't think this is going to be the start of the bear market. Then maybe that's not the worst time to start buying it. Maybe you want to wait for a break of the all-time high to start showing some strength, and then you start to dollar cost average in. Now, obviously, it's not as good as buying on the way down into the bear market, but again, it's all about your personal plan, right? And like, what is your plan here long term, right? I have a portion of my Bitcoin that I'll never sell, right? So, depends. Person to person, plan to plan. What is your, being bullish, on the 5-minute, like, hey, Frankie, you're bearish or bullish. Like on a 5-minute, I could be super bullish and then super bearish on the daily. So yeah, I would say long term, right? You're not buying green candles, so you can't hate on that too much, right? Even though I'm not confident that this is the low before massive new all-time highs. Better than buying up in the green. But yeah, all right, let me see here. Bada boom. Hidden bullish div on the weekly for BTC. We actually looked at this last week, right? So you do have the higher lows, you do have your lower lows. It is there, right? Now it's kind of hard because money flow is not crossed into the red yet here on the weekly. This is like the one time frame that is still kind of in the green. But of course, right, this doesn't mean that those lower time frame money flows don't matter, right? If we come back in time here a little bit, back to 2021, right, you start to get the bigger drop down. Right, your weekly money flow is kind of hovering. This is obviously trending out over time. Again, timing of the cycle, you have to think about all this stuff as well. Just because this money flow is not crossing into the red doesn't mean that it's not going to head down there continually, right? But we did not have a hidden bull div here, but not all divergences are going to be created equal, right? When I have a divergence, whether it's traditional or a hidden bullish divergence, it's always going to be more powerful when you're looking at it from a money flow perspective, right? Like a bull div down here, which you actually did have, lower lows, higher lows. Your money flow's in the green. It came out a little bit, but eventually continued back up. But bullish divergences with money flow in the green, freshly coming into the green, is much different than seeing bullish divergences at the end of a money flow wave like this. So you can see, right? You get the push down. It's like, oh my God, this looks really bad. And then someone will be like, oh my God, I thought we were bearish. What's happening? We're pushing. Well, what happened? We're pushing to the upside. I thought we were bearish. What the heck? What the heck? What the heck? Right? Well, again, money flow continues to trend to the upside or downside. The green dots give you the bounce, right? But that money flow continuation and crossover into the red is oftentimes going to indicate much higher chances of a lower high and a lower low to come in, right? Even if you're coming into key support. We were coming into key support here as well, right? Into support, get bounce off the retracement level, but that money flow is telling you it's not likely going to be a higher low and a higher high. Could it have been? Yeah. I mean, hey, by all means, right? Like you could have had a shocking pump to the upside, but again, higher probability, right? Not 100% certain, Although we were saying, hey, weekly blood diamond money flow crossing into the red, this looks a lot like we're probably going into the bear market, guys. But that doesn't mean that it's impossible for something crazy to happen like that. It's just lower probability, right? And I would say 8 out of 10 times you're going to see the probabilities fall on the side of the charts. So, yeah. Let's see here. Yo, shout out to the real K Ticket. He said, I remember when Dave got modded. It was a huge deal. Shout out to Dave Digital. Welcome in. Welcome in. It's still huge to me. Shout out to Dave. You're huge to us, brother. Shout out to Dave Digital. Shout out to WOC. Wolf of Crypto, I assume. I could tell by the profile picture. Said, hey, yo, caught this relief rally. I still believe lower high. Yeah, shout out to the WOC, right? Pump does not necessarily mean all-time highs, right? Again, it's all relative, right? You have to understand the context on the higher time frames. And I don't know a better way to do it other than just show previous price action. Again, it doesn't guarantee it has to be the same thing. But again, it's like money flow coming out. And again, even if you were trying to front run this weekly money flow crossover into the red, right? You could say, well, hey, this is trending down. A lot of people would be like, yeah, but money flow is still in the green. But look at the trend, right? But how do you front run this? Well, look at scoot down the time frames. Let's look at the 6-day money flow. I said, let's look at the 6-day money flow. There we go. Well, that's starting to come out pretty aggressively, right? Weekly's still up there, but the 6-day is coming out. Chances are the weekly is probably going to follow suit on the 6-day, right? The lower time frames play out first. Let's take a look at the 5-day. 5-day had already crossed into the red. Are you seeing a trend here? 5-day money flow crosses over. 6-day, probably following soon after. Weekly, probably following soon after, right? And you can even come down to the 4-day. I think the 4-day actually chilled up here a little bit. Come on, TradingView. Come on. Don't do this to me. Oh, no, there you go. 4-day money flow was already in the red. 3-day money flow? Come on. The heck is going on with TradingView right now? There we go, right? Well, this kind of flip-flopped. But again, right, just generally when you look at it, oh, man, this is annoying. All your high time frame money flow is coming out. You can just scoot up those time frames. There's your 2-day. 3-day is a little wish-washy, but it's still coming out. 4-day is coming out into the red very clearly. 5-day is coming out very clearly. And again, this would be an early crossover. These 5-day money flow crossovers are not very common. Big green wave for the massive trend up. Once that crosses red, it doesn't happen often. It is oftentimes a sign of a bear market. Then the 6-day, sure, it's still up a little bit, but it's headed in the same direction. And then eventually the weekly's a little higher, but eventually it all follows in the same direction, right? I won't let it play out. I'm not going to let that play out, right? And the green dot gives you the pop up. Oh, my God, bullish, right? Well, keep an eye on that context, right? And we come over to our current price action. Let's look at the high time frame money flow. 2-day money flow in the red. 3-day money flow following soon after, crossing into the red. 4-day is fighting for its life here. Coming out, but fighting for its life. 5-day just crossed over into the red. 6-day getting close to crossing over into the red. Weekly trending out, right? So, if you were looking for new all-time highs, this is the level to do it at, right? That's the only shot. The push up, and then all this money flow just fakes out into the green. Lower probability doesn't mean impossible. But just showing the similarities between last cycle and this cycle, and honestly, any other cycle. You could do that same money flow exercise with any of these any of these previous cycles. Right? It's all always meant the same thing. Even if it's not a traditional 70% bear market, it would still be more bearish for a continuation lower. So we'll see. I am rooting for this, right? I'm not going to be like, oh, man, the TA didn't play out. I'm going to be like, thank God the TA was wrong. Thank God. There's a time I'm praying for the TA to be wrong, guys. It's right now, but it's just not looking very likely. Let's see. Shout out to OC2B. Said, your opinion on Caspa, both TA and fundamental. Shout out to Caspa. I don't really have too much fundamental analysis for you, but I could try to take a look at the Caspa chart for you. I'm going to jump into the altcoins real quick here in a second. Obviously, XRP getting a nice little pop to the upside. Nice little green candle there on the daily. Candy runts are pretty fire. I hate the banana ones, though. Runts are fire, though. The banana ones make me nauseous. I hate artificially flavored banana. Golden buy my altcoins. Shout out to Simano or Samu. Yeah, we'll take a look at ETH. All right, let's jump into some of these altcoins, right? So we'll start off with Bitcoin dominance. Continuing to get the breakdown here, right? So for altcoins, what did we talk about here on the Bitcoin chart? So it all starts on the Bitcoin chart. Everything follows Bitcoin, and let's pull up that major range, right? So let's just assume we are going to get some kind of a macro retracement from these key levels. We are hoping, right, and this has been the plan ever since we were up here playing with 108K, saying, hey, guys, if we lose this, it's not looking good for the rest of the cycle, but for what does that mean for altcoins? Well, it means that we have to, if we get some kind of retracement, we want that retracement to happen on falling Bitcoin dominance. And, of course, we are continuing to see Bitcoin dominance attempt to get a move to the downside. We come into the retracement levels that we looked at. Remember, guys, these levels mean nothing, right? It's astrology. But obviously getting the continuation down here. Daily money flow finally starting to come out a little bit. Now, the big sign I'm going to be looking at here on dominance is going to be that 4-day money flow. I have an alert set for this. The hope is that on the retracement on Bitcoin, we could see it happening on falling Bitcoin dominance and get the big collapse. I don't know, without money printing, that is going to be the god tier amazing alt season that everybody wants. But likely, this is a very similar situation than we were in Q4 of last year. We came up to the value area low. It was also a golden pocket retracement, very similar situation. We saw that we were at resistance. We saw some of the money flow coming out on key time frames like the daily, even though we kind of came back into the green very quickly, but obviously that crossover was relevant. See the money flow trending down. This is where we looked for altcoins to get their pop. All right, this happened starting in November all the way into December. What did the altcoins do during this time? Well, I'll just pull up XRP as an example because we just had that up. There's October, November, into December. Massive moves up, right? So it's not that the altcoins can't move on that, but I just don't know without money printing if it's going to be that god tier alt season that everybody wants, right? But it could just be a rotational alt season where some of the profits from Bitcoin go into the altcoins and we get the push up. And I'll come back to XRP in just a second. So that's what we're looking at on dominance, right? It's nice that we're getting the rejection here. We just really want to see us break this low on that money flow coming out to get the bigger drop down. Pulling up Ethereum. What did we look at last week? Key level of support sitting right here between 28.19 and 27.19. Where are we bouncing? Pretty funny. And we did actually get the 12-hour bullish divergences. This was something else we looked at on the live stream last week. Lower lows on our price action. Higher lows on our momentum waves here on the 12-hour, and we're getting a little bit of the bounce. Next big target to look at for Ethereum is going to be this golden pocket 786 value area high confluent zone, sitting between 35.20 and 32.47. If you're going to continue the overall downtrend, which, to be honest, again, you don't have to reject here, right? If you get above, there's still some big levels that you can get the bigger rejection from, but this is the first major level. If we can get up here, this is super important, right? Because it's your local retracement, an opportunity to look for a lower high and a lower low, and it's obviously in line with our volume profile. Once you lose the value area high and you cannot break back out, you are very likely going to start your journey, which can be very confusing and sketchy, but eventually you're going to look for that continuation down to the POC. Take this off the chart real quick, right? It's not until, like, wake me up when Ethereum breaks above this value area high and gets accepted into this upper value. I got to clean up here. These are like a lot of old levels, but obviously the volume profile still remains valid, right? I'll hide some of these other old levels, right? Very simply, you have upper value here, right? So if you get the breakout, right, you got to be real careful around this resistance, because if you can't get back out of the value area high, that would confirm further that you're accepted into this value area, making the continuation much more likely. And of course, this is all accompanied by the same money flow as Bitcoin coming out. But if we can get back above that 786 value area high, we could start to look up towards that upper area of value closer to $4,000, right? But until we get up here and break out, right, like there's no reason to pay attention to this level, right? I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the intermediary levels here when this could be possible, right? If that does happen, it's like, wow, kind of stupid to even be looking up there. But once we get above there, right, could be looking up towards $4,000 towards that previous value area low. Lower I mean, not even that that's a lower probability situation, but again, to see new all-time highs, all these fresh money flow crossovers all have to fake out back into the green massively, which is not impossible, just lower probability, right? So there you go. That's what I'll be looking at on Ethereum. Let's take a look here at the 4-hour. Same thing as Bitcoin, right? 4-hour money flow trying to come back up. And again, just like on Bitcoin, 786, this is the chance, right? If we can get the rally on Bitcoin, right, the relief rally, this is kind of the level that we need to do it at on Ethereum. If we lose this 786 at 27.14, well, Just like when we talked about losing this level here, this would be the next likely level. If we lose this level, I'm going to be looking down towards about 2350. We have 2 daily MPOCs and the point of control of the range. It's in line with your volume profile, and it's also confluent with your horizontal levels of support. Doesn't mean you can't get bounces before you get down there, right? So I'd start getting a little bit more excited for at least a little higher if we can get above this value area high. If not, you could just get sucked back into that profile. All right, let's see. Shout out to Ken Barkoff, said, hey, Frankie, you're always right on the money. Keep the sauce flowing. Shout out to Ken Barkoff. I appreciate you, brother. And hey, we teach this here for free every single weekday. I'm not special, guys. I'm not special. At least not in like a gifted and talented way. So that's what I'm going to be looking at on Ethereum. We'll take a quick look at Solana here. Solana getting the bounce from where? One of these magical levels, guys. Magical levels. So obviously we came down to tap that 786, but we had this untapped value area low, untapped daily MPOC, untapped daily horizontal. And again, right, I don't really love to see these levels front ran. We did hit the 786, but more often than not, you will come down to fill that value area in full. I mean, the laws of the volume profile, guys, are crazy, right? You get accepted into the range, you can't break out. At this point, you are going to be looking for the next highest probability area for price to go to be the POC. Oh my God, bullish? Well, no. Look at your money flow. All coming out, making you anticipate the lower highs and the lower lows, eventually targeting the value area low of that range. And even when you can front run that zone, it will happen sometimes, right? But you tap this and it's like you're just suspicious about potentially coming back down to tap those levels. And we have put in some 4-hour bullish divergences, lower lows, higher lows, and now your money flow is starting to come up. So very, very nice that we're holding on top of this value area low, guys. This is a key level of support, right? If this money flow continues up, hopefully we can continue up through the profile, making the next target the POC of the range, sitting at about 145.80. And then once you can get back above that, we can start talking about some of these higher prices. Might have some liquidity sitting above this high into the daily MPOC at $175, but we'll take it step by step. Next local target would be the POC of the range. If we end up losing this range, we have some other levels down here. We have an MPOC at about 119, but at the end of the day, right, if we can't hold that 786, I'm very likely going to be looking for a break of this low at some point, right? Doesn't have to happen today or tomorrow. As a matter of fact, when we try to predict what's going to happen next, we can see these high time frame green dots. We know that can cause significant bounces in the market, but it does not override the idea that all this money flow is coming out, right? So you can kind of be bullish for a little bit, but you just got to be aware that you're not getting overly bullish at key resistances where you could be looking for lower highs. But same story, right? All the money flow looks the same as it does on Bitcoin and Ethereum. We also have daily bull divs here on Solana as well, right? That's bullish, right? But context is very important, right? Bull div, money flow trying to curve back up. That is bullish. That does not necessarily mean all-time highs, right? So there you go. I'll take a quick look at XRP because XRP got a nice little pop-up today. And what were we looking at last week, guys? Biggest key levels of support. Golden Pocket, 786. These were the last zones. Golden Pocket, 786. If you can't hold the Golden Pocket, the next place for price to likely go is that 786. Once you lose that 786, we're looking for a break of structure to the downside. Held up to the tick on the 786. That was where you needed the bounce, and it could not have come in any more on time. And we're back above the value area low. So just viewing this as a volume profile, if you could stay inside this value area, meaning on top of the value area low at 203, next target is going to be this Golden Pocket 786 POC confluence between 244 and 230. So there you go. Once you flip the 786, you can look for the full fill of the range. But again, for me to get really excited about XRP again, we need to get above here and, more importantly, back inside this upper value area. And we still have this major key level, the 786, at all the way up towards 322, right? So it's really not for me to call for all-time highs on XRP. I kind of just got to see it, right? Same thing we have been saying on Bitcoin on the entire way down. It's like, guys, if I have to make an argument for a massive push into new all-time highs here, it's just got to happen. It's not on the charts. Doesn't mean it's impossible, but it just needs to happen, right? There's nothing to call for it. It's the same thing there on XRP. Like, there's nothing here for me to say, hey, this looks super good for new all-time highs. Why? Look at your high time frame money flow. It's all the same stuff. All this money flow is just crossed into the red. 5-day money flow just crossed into the red. 6-day money flow just crossed into the red. Maybe you get the green dots, you get the bigger continuations. Maybe it's even super exciting. But until we flip this and see new all-time highs, there's nothing on the charts pointing towards that. If I had all this money flow in a big red wave crossing into the green, or unless we get some kind of aggressive fake out and we crack this high on money flow as we push up, this is going to be my sentiment until something changes. So there you go. Very nice to see that 786 tap to the dollar. Shout out to the TA. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to FUX says, the factor of emotion is the most underrated factor. Few understand that gravity outweighs these wonderful coiled springs. Stay patient, stay unemotional, only buy what you can afford to lose. Shout out to you, brother. I could not agree enough. I actually would say that emotional and psychological control is really what separates a trader that makes money and a trader that loses all their money, right? You can have the best setup. I say this every day. You can have two traders taking the exact same setup. Here's the level. You're looking for longs. Two people can take that same trade. One takes it with a plan and good risk management, taking profit along the way, protecting themselves on the way up. And you can have an emotional trader that doesn't know any plan, right? They have no strategy, they have no plan, but you can give them, say, hey, looking for the long here. This trader can take profit at 50, take a partial TP, move their stop loss to break even, and let the rest ride for a guaranteed winning trade. And if it goes against them, they'll get stopped out in profit and make money and grow their trading account. And the other trader can gamble, right, which is what most people, I think, look at TA as. They think that it's predicting exactly what's going to happen. It's just giving you the probabilities. But you can give the same trade setup. This guy can make money, and this guy can be like, I'm not taking partial take profit here because I'm greedy. I want to make more money. And if I take profit here and it continues up, I'm going to make less money. So I'm just going to hope to hit the final TP and hope this just rides up to new all-time highs. And when this turns around and this guy doesn't have a stop loss or, has a big stop loss or even has a stop loss set, but they're not taking profits along the way, this guy's going to lose money on that trade. This guy's going to win money. They could use the same strategy, the same indicators, the same everything. They could just have someone say, hey, buy here, it's going to go up. That doesn't mean you're going to make money, right? Why? What is the difference there? If I tell you to buy and it goes up and you don't make money, what happened there, right? It's the management of the trade. And this is what happens with most people. They chase the strategy. They chase the indicator. They don't understand there's no indicator or strategy that is going to change the game for you as much as managing the risk and understanding the psychological and emotional control, right? Or maybe this guy, right? Maybe trader number one hits TP1, stop loss to break even, price starts coming down. He's not tripping because he knows that if he gets stopped out, he's going to make money because he already took some profit and his stop loss is at break even. He's just going to be chilling. Hey, if this plays out and continues up, I'll make more money. Right? It's part of the plan. This guy, if he has no plan, he's going to think, oh my God, what's happening? It's pulling back. Should I close the trade? Should I go short? Like what? They're just going to get totally chopped up there, right? You have to have the trade and stick with the plan. If it stops you out and you hit TP1, cool. That's a winning trade still. So yeah, emotion is 100% like not only underrated, I think it is the thing that most people are searching for. They're looking for that secret, that thing that is going to just make trading click for them. They think it's an indicator. They think it's a strategy. And although those can make you feel, if you try a new strategy, win a couple trades, they'll start to make you feel good. But over a long enough period of time, if you don't have the psychology under control, you're just going to eventually lose money with that strategy as well. The only thing you have control over is your plan and the discipline to stick to that plan and not FOMO and not feel the emotions. It's the only thing you can control. And that's why I think most traders fail. It's not the TA. It's not the strategies, right? It's the actual difficult part of trading, which is the emotional control. Especially when money's involved. It's like the emotions go through the roof. It's not just being right or wrong. It's, you have money on the line. So, yeah. Let's see. Shout out to Genius says, why don't everyone sell and make everyone panic sell late? Let's go back 10 years where BTC was 50 cents. Let's reset this market already so a few can have general wealth, maybe. Generational wealth, I think is probably what you meant. Shout out to Genius. That would be awesome. Shout out to Silvo Dante. Said, dropping straight game. Listen, guys. Shout out to Silvo Dante. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. But yeah, free game, baby. Free game. All right, so let's see. What do we want to take a look at? Let's take a quick look at Caspa. Where's our Caspa chart? I know we got one here somewhere. This is tapped now. I think this is... Yeah, I think this has got to be the chart. Yeah, we have not taken a look at Caspa in quite some time, so this is kind of all old. Let's take this off the chart. I could take this off the chart, take this off. Pretty funny. Doorway to the value area high was right here. Rejected. Knocked on the door and they slammed it in your face. All right, so let's see here. Beautiful rejection off the POC. So let me go ahead and pull this value area because this is going to be that next balanced area. Let's go value area high, POC, value area low. All right, and let me just go ahead and see if I can grab some high time frame levels. We'll take a look at the monthly MPOCs. Come on, TradingView, you can do it. Come on. There we go. Oh, dang. All right, so you got a monthly MPOC down here. This is super far away. Let's take a look at the weekly. I won't even mark off the... All right, so you got a weekly MPOC right here. I'm not going to mark off all these just to save time. You also have one above. That's local enough for me to pop it up there. Let's take a look at the daily. Not going to get enough information for that. Just see if we have any monthly horizontals. You got one right there. We almost hit it. Still naked, though. Weeklies. All right, so this weekly has been tapped, so I won't mark that off. That's what we're trying to reclaim right now. We do have another weekly right here. That weekly's tapped. And then you get another weekly down there. And I wish I had some kind of like nicer balanced area here to pull some kind of a volume profile, but it's just not there. Yeah, it's just kind of wonked. So, actually pull this. But to pull it from the inception doesn't help us out. All right, so next key level that I would be interested in for some kind of a reaction would be right down here, weekly and monthly horizontals. Sitting at about, call it 0.033, 0.034. Just barely front ran that level. Again, we are trying to hold this weekly here. So, yeah, I would give you like the biggest level of support to the downside, right? Because when we look at this, I could pull up the VPVR as well. Right? I mean, you can see this lines up with the volume. There's your high volume node. There's your weekly MPOC. Not much between these two levels. You can see on a volume perspective, there's not much between those levels either. Next big level comes in on this high volume node, which is close to that weekly and weekly horizontal and the monthly MPOC. So these are really the only horizontal levels that I can look at, right? But you do have confluence here on the weekly and the monthly. So this is definitely a big key level of support. Like, I would love this to be confluent with some kind of a 786. It's just not, though, right? We're right now below all the 786s. So you kind of need to reclaim this range for me to look for a bigger move up towards about 10 cents. Until then, it's like, yikes, don't really like it. But right here, I would say 0.32 to 0.035, big levels of support. All right, that's your next big level. Take a look at market cipher real quick. Weekly green dot printing, so hopefully you can get a little bit of a bigger retracement. Again, it's all going to kind of rhyme with the rest of the Bitcoin and ETH analysis, right? All those look like they can get somewhat of a retracement. Hopefully, this will be following suit. You do have some bullish divergences down here on some higher time frames, 3-day, 2-day. Look at that 2-day bull div. Money flow still coming out, but again, this is not a fresh money flow crossover. This crossover happened all the way back here, and we've already gotten a big downtrend and a pretty significant money flow wave. Now, it doesn't mean that it has to, scam back up for a massive pump, but this is much better than when you when I'm looking at the chart here, right, and we have a fresh money flow crossover. I'm expecting this downtrend to just begin, right? And then when you get down here, it's like, all right, well, maybe we can get some kind of a significant retracement because this money flow has been in the red for quite some time. You have the bull divs. Hopefully, this is the bottom of the money flow wave, right? And you can start to creep back up and get a bigger push to the upside. So that's the biggest key level to the downside. To the upside, you do have the weekly MPOC at about 0.0503. But, from a higher time frame perspective, let me pull this fib from the high to the low here locally. Let's pull it from the lower high. Yeah, I won't even keep this on the chart. Market cipher B. 4-day money flow crossover on Bitcoin. Did that just happen? Market cipher B crossing down 0%. Oh, on Bitcoin dominance. Oh, there you go. Let's go. There's the 4-day money flow crossover on Bitcoin. I thought I was going to have to wait for that. I said I had the alert set. There it is. Huh. Not a bad sign. Not a bad sign. But let's come back over to Caspa. Yeah, I mean, I would say, get above this weekly MPOC, like really, like to see some kind of a sign that you could get a bigger pop up to at least 10 cents, even 7 cents, would be flipping this value area low at 0.067, right? We're just below this value area. So if we could work our way up, biggest level to pay attention to, in my opinion, right? Especially, even if you do pull the lower high to the low here, you do have some confluence there. You have the POC, the 786, the golden pocket, the value area low, right? I oftentimes look at these as separate levels or separate zones, right? So you got one there, and then you got one here. All right, you got to be careful of the lower high there for a continuation down. But once you get above this POC, it's like, hey, you're back in this profile, look to go to the value area high, and then hopefully a lot of this high time frame money flow is fixing to go back to the upside. And then we can look to get accepted. Very clear volume profiles here. There's volume profile number 1. There's volume profile number 2. If you can flip that value area low / Fibonacci zone, get the rotation of this profile, break out of here, the next expected zone to come into or fair value to get accepted into is going to be crossing 11 cents. POC is very tight there to the value area low, so I would look at that. Usually the value area low is the doorway to higher prices, but in this case, I would look at the POC and the value area low. Kind of similar here. It's pretty low down towards the bottom of the range, but get accepted back into here, go to the POC, flip the POC, go to the high. If you can impulse out of this range, that's the big level to get above, and then you could push up into about 15 cents. And then at that point, we'll look at the higher time frame money flow and try to figure out if there's an opportunity to look to long the dips for a massive push to the upside, assuming money flow is coming up in a really big way. But you got to be careful around all this resistance until we start breaking real key levels. But you do have the green dots. Again, green dots could give you the bounce, right? Money flow continuation is still to the downside, right? But that could be exciting on the way up. Let's see. Shout out to Nero Ultra. Shout out to you, brother. Said, not many people would dedicate an entire YouTube channel to teaching novices, man. You are grade A+. Shout out to you, man. I appreciate that. I like this, right? When I started doing this, I actually learned I didn't know if I wanted to be on YouTube, to be honest with you. I was really nervous about being on camera, and I had never taught anything in my life, right? I don't think, not in an official way. And I love trading. Obviously, I'm super passionate about this. I'm super passionate about TA. And when I started doing this and helping people and seeing the reaction we got from people, even in the premium Discord, we got a bunch of comments today about how much people's trading has changed by just learning and watching me, which is huge. And I fell in love with the education aspect of it. I did not know I had a passion for teaching. It's definitely something I learned about myself doing this. So shout out to you, man. I appreciate you. No need to thank me, man. I didn't know I was going to love this, but I absolutely do. Teaching is one of the most rewarding things. I was telling the premium Discord, making money on the trades is fun. Making money in crypto is fun, but, I wouldn't just do this for money. That doesn't really, money's great, obviously, but it's not just going to make you happy alone. And this is really what keeps me going, right? It's seeing these comments, seeing that we're making a difference. I know it sounds corny, but it really is the truth. This is what gets me up in the morning. This is what makes me sleep really well at night, knowing that we're actually educating and helping people and seeing a difference from people telling us, hey, you changed my life, man. You taught me how to do this, and I'm starting to actually get it. Thank you for breaking it down. So shout out to you, brother. I appreciate you. You have a voice for radio. And with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and roll on over into the next altcoin. I guess that's more of a news anchor voice. Shout out to Neil. I appreciate you, brother. Shout out to Spiff the Ninja. Shout out to you, brother. Said, sup, Frankie? Killing it as usual. Shout out to Spiff. Welcome in, bro. Thank you for being here. Shout out to TDK. Said, pull your fib from August 5th, 2024 to the high. Golden Pocket sits perfectly on the weekly MPOC and the daily, the new level to keep an eye on. Forgot to mention it during the preem. Shout out to TDK. Let me just take a quick look at that before we go on into Chainlink. August 5th. Where are we at? August 5th to the high. Let me come on down to the daily here. August 15th, August 5th. August 5th to the high. Somebody said August 5th. Oh, August 5th, 2024. I was going to say, I was like, I don't know if I'd be paying attention to that fib. Shout out to TDK. Where we at? There she is, all the way to the high. Right, no, that's so weird, right? I saw that number, and I was like, hey, that's right near he said it was right near the weekly MPOC. Yeah, actually, shout out to TDK. I think we looked at this on the premium. When we tried to pull these lower fibs. I might have pulled one lower. But yes, this would be the only problem. The only problem I have with this. Now, of course, I will be looking for longs down here, as I mentioned earlier in the stream. The only kind of gripe that I have with this is at that point, right? Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? Like, it's like that point, we're losing this 786. So, yeah, it's like, you can look for the double bottom. At that point, if we push down here, maybe looking for the SFP of 75K. But yeah, I mean, that is confluent. That's definitely a valid Fibonacci retracement. That is obviously a valid weekly MPOC. And that is definitely valid confluence. And funny enough, it is right on that weekly MPOC, which is the level that we're watching anyway. So shout out to TDK. 100%, brother. Nice confluence there. What would be nice about that, right, is if you could, like, maybe squeeze up. Whoops. If you could maybe, like, squeeze back up and then get another drop down there, like maybe set up for some kind of higher time frame bullish divergences, like that would be much nicer, at least than what we have right here. So, shout out to TDK. Nice call, bro. Nice call. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. Said my dad always said I had a face for radio. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. I might have a voice for radio. I might have the face for it too. Shout out to Bruce. Said, bro, thank you for being live almost every day. Shout out to Bruce. No problem, bro. It's hard to keep me off these live streams. Even like when I try to take time off, I always try to like sneak away in a hotel room to go live for a little bit. Okay, so let's continue on here. Shout out to FUX said, the orchestrated FUD should be music to our ears. TradFi knows what's coming, and they are scared AF. Shout out to FUX. Shout out to Independent. These names it's so weird to not. Shout out to Crypto Independent. I could tell by the profile picture, these names are confusing the heck out of me. He said, don't worry, Frankie. You're doing great. Taught me a lot these last couple of years. With you, just get it. Shout out to Crypto Independent. I appreciate you, brother. OG, the CandleMafia there. Another short stream tonight, Frankie. Shout out to Panda. Yes, short stream, guys. Short stream. Yeah, the herd is always wrong. Shout out to Cherry. There's definitely validity to that for sure. I explained this. Actually, for the past couple live streams, people keep saying that. But this is basically how I handle that, right? I would agree with you. Herd is wrong almost every time. It's just hard for me to get a read on if people are... it's very hard to read the sentiment right now. Now, obviously, the fear and greed index is very scared. But it's like, yeah, it's like people are either calling for all-time highs, right, or they're just like it's all over, right? So it's like kind of hard to get that, like, what's the retail really think? But again, at the end of the day, the understanding what the herd is doing is kind of just secondary to what I pay attention to. If people were mega bearish down here and the charts were really bullish, I would be happy that I am looking in the opposite direction of retail, right, or the masses, you could say, right? We're technically retail as well. But if I have the chart looking very bearish and the masses are also bearish, the masses being super bearish isn't going to make me go against the charts, right? It's charts over everything. And then when I see those two things kind of converge together and point in the same, for retail sentiment, if it points in the opposite of what the charts say, then I just have a little more validity, right? If people were super bullish down here, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense, right? Everyone is super bullish. Chart looks like trash. They're probably going to be wrong. Easy. Right? But if people are super bearish down here and the charts are still looking very bearish, I'm just going to stick with the charts every time. But yeah, I would say at face value, you're probably right? Masses get it wrong more often than not, but they are not, it's not 100% of the time. All right. Shout out to Saeed. I think that said, may God bless you and your family for your awesome analysis. Shout out to you, brother. God bless you as well, man. I appreciate you. Yeah, still extreme fear in the 20s. Yeah, that's that's part. We talk about the some of the bull market indicators not firing. Right, there are some things. It's just yeah, I mean, maybe we just stay in fear or maybe we go like, oh my God, it comes back up and then it dumps back into massive fear. I don't know. I don't ever trade based. Like, I don't come to the charts every day and check the fear and greed index to make out my positions. But it is definitely something, for the long-term moves on the market, it's definitely something to pay attention to. But mostly when you're at like major key levels, right? Like if you're at massive prices with massive euphoria, right? And you're in massive new all-time highs, like, we never really had that, right? We never really had the massive euphoria here, which is very interesting in my opinion. And I think that has a lot to do with like no liquidity being injected, etc. But yeah, just not something I look at for my daily analysis. Definitely something to pay attention to though. But all right, let's continue on here. Shout out to JJ, said, why are we breaking down? Well, I won't say it just because I've covered it so many times. I'm just going to point to the technical confirmations. I have a bunch of market updates where we covered it, but I would just give you a chart. Could we break 88K now? Yeah, it would be a short-term break, right, in my opinion, right, until proven otherwise, right? Like, I'm not saying it's impossible to continue up, but yeah, I mean, if we can get this 4-hour money flow to continue into the green, hopefully we can get a little something like that, even into some of these bigger levels. And then once we get up here, we'll say, hey, I have to assume, right, that my sentiment up here is going to be money flow coming out on the higher time frames. Be very careful of the lower high and the lower low, right? And then, might look something like a head and shoulders, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, dump it. But we'll see, right? If the charts look really good up here, I promise you guys, I will be saying that. If it's not, I'm going to have to come up here and say the same thing that I said I would say when we were up here. It's like, hey, guys, if we get down here, if it looks bearish, I'm going to say it. You're going to see me come up here and start being like, we have to start questioning if the top is in. If it's super bullish, I'll say that. Obviously, it didn't look bullish. So same thing up at these next levels, right? If we can get the bigger retracement up into these levels, I'd be very cautious. But unless we have some major signs that are looking for higher prices, then, I don't know what I'm going to say here. I would have to assume, if I had to speculate, right, money flow is still probably going to be coming into the red. I'm still going to have that bearish bias, but if it looks different, I'll let you guys know as soon as I can. Or not as soon as I can, but as soon as it pops up on the charts. Yeah, shout out to Maxwell, said small bounce, then back to 75K, maybe even 63K for 50% haircut on the bear markets. But yeah, if we do wind up taking out these lows, guys, the next levels to look at are really between like 60 and 50K, right? We'll cover these levels when they become more relevant, but we do have the volume profile down here. Again, auction market theory, this is how price moves, whether you want to accept it or not. Price seeks out fair value. If we impulse and can't get accepted back into this range and we start nuking down, guess where price is going to get gravitated to? It's going to get sucked into this lower volume profile. This sits between about 70 and call it 60K. If you come back down to the lows, you're breaking into about 50K. Definitely valid targets, right? A lot of people, when we were floating around up here, were upset, I think, that I was saying that we can go to 94 to 92K. They were upset. But look what happened, right? The market doesn't care about your feelings. It really doesn't. It only cares about where price is going to go. So, yeah, it's like I know that seems really painful. Even if we do pump, right, let's just assume the top is in and we're going to go back down into a bear market. Like, these are definitely in the cards here, down to 50K. Maybe even lower, right? But this would be like, technically, you lose these lows. The next place to mess around with is this volume profile, right? You have the POC sitting here at about 67K, confluent with the weekly naked point of control, right? So it's like definitely going to be support, right? There's going to be bounces along the way, but definitely possible to fill that whole profile. So I would say and from the top, right, come down to that value area low, there's the 50% bear market. Is it going to be muted this cycle? They start printing money sooner than later? Definitely possible, right? But I won't know if it's a high probability bottom until we get down there and we can, reanalyze what the price action looks like, what the money flow looks like, etc. But definitely, for lower targets, we break 75K, between 70 and, downward toward 50K is definitely in the cards. But 70 and 60 would be the first kind of stop. So, again, I hope not, but let's see. Lower high incoming at the POC confluence. I mean, that's definitely one of the big levels that we're watching, Gen Z, for sure. 96K. Golden pocket, right? And again, when I look at this in the, call it the 2021 perspective, right? Like, what are those Fibonacci retracements that we're looking at? You have the full fib between 108 and 116K, but there's no promise that you have to get that full retracement. Where's the next major fib? It's sitting between 96 and the pretty much the 50-week moving average, close to about 102K. So definitely big resistance there. Same thing in 2021, right? You didn't make it to the full Fibonacci retracement. There's no guarantee you're going to get there, right? But if you do reject and it's going to be a lower high, it's going to be a high probability that that lower high is going to come in on a Fibonacci retracement. It just might be the local one. This is similar to this, and this is similar to this. And at the end of the day, if you start flying and you flip the 786 above 116K, at that point, I mean, we still have a lot of resistance up here, but from a context standpoint, it would be okay to look for a sweep of those highs and potentially new high. I mean, you would get, if you sweep it, you would get new all-time highs, but you would be looking to break that high, right? This invalidates the idea of the lower high. Once you flip it, it's like, well, hey, the only thing you really look for here is a smash into new all-time highs. And that'll just be what it is, right? It's not going to be, no, this isn't happening, guys. We're still bearish, right? Chances are there will be signs on the charts for that to happen. But yeah, shout out to Gen Z, right? And that POC is 100% confluent with that golden pocket. So we'll see. Shout out to Gen Z. Nice snipe there, bro. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman, said the overvaluation of the traditional market is going to come back and bite us in our tushies. Shout out to Cryptic Crabman. Yeah, definitely possible. Shout out to Keith, said, are you holding any trade? I'm not holding a trade right now. Isn't that shocking? No trades, guys. I don't even have any, like, I take trades on personal accounts that I don't really talk about. I'm not holding any trades right now. Shout out to Dave Digital. I have to read this, guys. I don't want to, but I have to. Shout out to Dave Digital. Question. If you match with your sister on Tinder, I knew this was. If you match with your sister on Tinder, should I still be a gentleman and go on the date? Shout out to Dave Digital. Probably not. Probably not. I wouldn't. I would forego that. Shout out to Dave. Out of pocket question, bro. But anyway, let's see here. All right, let's take a quick look at. Let's take a quick look at Link. Gen Z says, "Oops, I meant high or low on the retrace." Oh, gotcha. Talking about. You're probably, I assume, looking at this volume profile. Whoops. And you're probably looking at some kind of Fibonacci retracement there. Yeah, golden pocket. That would be a valid fib pull. Is a valid level. And again, right, even if you're not looking at this fib, it's like you're just looking to fill the volume profile anyway. This is break the value area low. It's typically where you're looking for bounces anyway. But you do have the golden pocket confluence pulled from the higher low at 23K. So definitely an opportunity, right? Depending on what price looks like down there. I can almost guarantee that's what you're looking at, Gen Z. Let me know. Let me know right or wrong. I want to know if I snipe that for you. But yeah, let's take a quick look at Chainlink here, guys. Where is it at? Chainlink. Yeah, Chainlink still not too much of an update, but we did push down into our daily MPOC weekly horizontal confluence here. Let me just go ahead and all right, that doesn't move the value area low. So we're still just bouncing off this support zone. Your 4-hour money flow looks all the same as Bitcoin, right? Maybe this just fakes out. If it does, if this 4-hour money flow just rolls right back over, your biggest key levels are still here. I'm going to take this daily MPOC off the chart. I'm going to take this weekly off the chart. I'm going to go ahead and move this box down to the untapped levels, which is sitting between the daily MPOC value. It's a value area low zone, right? Daily MPOC value area low. This is front ran. It's very similar to kind of what we looked at on XRP, guys, right? Right, you front run the 786, you get a bounce. Eventually, you do go down to tap that value area low. Not guaranteed, but we do still have this naked support level down here, and this sits between about 1137 and 1086. So if you did get a push down there, you're hoping that holds. Hopefully, you can come in on some nice bullish divergences for another bounce back up. But overall, this is your volume profile. Value area low sitting at about 11 $8.09. POC sitting at 1431. And then your value area high / current golden pocket 786 retracement is sitting up here. Value area high sits at 2060. And then the 786 golden pocket is sitting between 1902 and 2108. So just looking at this as an overall volume profile. Never really getting super overly bearish here. Even if I am bearish for a continuation down, you really want to see the retracements. Maybe that's the retracement, but I would like to come down and tap these levels if we get another drop down. You do have the support. You even have some backup here at 1020 on the dailies. But yeah, as long as you remain within this range, the doorway to the POC and the value. I mean, honestly, right now, the doorway to the value area low and the POC is both open. It's just which one is going to happen first. If that 4-hour money flow crosses up, you're looking for the POC first. If your money flow just fakes out of nowhere, you're looking for the value area low. But it's nice that you still have this support down below. This is still unfilled, though. I am always suspicious of unfilled volume profiles, even if you barely front run the level. Again, showing XRP, right? XRP barely front runs that level. What happens? Oh, my God, what happened? I thought we were going to the value area low. You do, right? That POC does act as a magnet, right? Sometimes it can suck you back up, but eventually you will see that fulfill more often than not. I can't guarantee it. But yeah, nice to see that naked level there. So those are the levels I'd look at. Money flow looks all the same as everything else, right? 4-hour money flow coming up. 6-hour money flow kind of flat there. 3-hour money flow coming up. 2-hour money flow tries to cross into the green. So we'll see. Again, I'm kind of indifferent if we come up or down first. Like it's same thing on Bitcoin, right? Like I can't, even if I'm expecting higher prices, right? I can't long this, right? I need some kind of a significant retracement. So unless we're looking for shorts, right, which we actually, well, I won't cover that in detail, but unless we come down to our next key levels of support or up to our next levels of resistance, I kind of indifferent on what happens to price here, right? So there you go. We do have some local trades that we've been looking at in the premium Discord, but I won't cover those. Not fair for the people who pay. Shout out to Nitro, said, yeah, this bounce has no strength. We are going back to 80K or lower soon. Shout out to Nitro. Pretty much my overall anticipation. Shout out to NWC or NW Crypto says there's been a lot of lessons just trying to day trade this last month. Holy shnikes, Batman. Shout out to NW Crypto. Yes, yeah, your trading journey, especially if you're just starting out, brother, is going to be full of lessons. Get ready to feel like an idiot and then feel like a genius and then feel like an idiot because you felt like a genius. It's a long road, but I promise you can do it. If I could do it, you could do it. Trust me. Yeah, shout out to Keith. Yeah, 2-hour bear div. Come on, Bitcoin. Good. I mean, Trading View. Good Lord. Maybe Tony T said their Black Friday sales might have the chart all clogged up. All the new people are like, oh, wow, this new Trading View thing. They're clogging up the gateways here. But yeah, and, again, locally, right? Let me just pull this local range up. Take off the upper range. Come on down to a lower time frame. Yeah, you got the deviation. You got some bearish divergences. If you can't get back out of this profile, maybe we do get the bigger drop down first. Maybe that 4-hour money flow fakes out. But yeah, golden pocket value area high confluence. You got the 1-hour bear div. You got the 2-hour bear div. Come on, Trading View. Come on, Trading View. You're making this very difficult right now. Come on, Trading View. Everybody log off Trading View right now. I'm just kidding. Come on. You can do it. You can do it. Give it to me. This one's frozen. Okay. This is unreal, guys. Trying to take a look at the money. Yeah, so you got the 90-minute bear div. Yeah, so you got the local bear divs printing there. So, not shocking. But yeah, I don't know why this won't load. All right. Emotions run high. Yeah, absolutely. There's no people in crypto. Yeah, shout out to Crypto Sharknado. Maybe it's all, maybe it's not the crypto people getting on Trading View. Yeah, what a ride. Shout out to NW. Absolutely, brother. But guys, that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin. We're getting the bounce here. I mean, if we're looking for the bigger retracement, we are hoping that it comes somewhere in this zone. Again, until we get the bigger breakup. Here's your local value area. Value area high, 88.6. POC, I'll even get rid of the 786. Value area high, 88.6. POC, 84,112, value area low, as well as the $80,000 psychological level with the weekly MPOC sitting just underneath that. These are the big levels of support. If we continue down, can even extend this down, right? Like, here's your volume profile. Go to the highs, right? If we come back down to the POC, lose the POC, I would expect the value area low. Maybe we get back into the range. Maybe we range around here a little bit. That would actually be kind of nice. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, right? If we do break out here, the next big level to look at is between $90,000 and $92,000 between your anchored VWAP weekly MPOC and 786. I will be interested in rejections here, obviously interested in local rejections here. And then if we do continue down, maybe we hold a higher low to continue up. I'm more interested in coming back down to take out those lows, though. Especially if we lose the POC, I would love to take out those lows. So that is what I'm going to be looking at here on the Bitcoin charts, guys. Shout out to Jimmy James. Thank you for the super chat, bro. Said, I used the discount for Market Cipher yesterday. Such a steal. Thanks. Do you have a video on how I can make my Market Cipher look like yours? Shout out to Jimmy. Yes. Check out the beginner series. I believe there is a Market Cipher tutorial in there. There's a Market Cipher. If you just search Frankie Candle's Market Cipher on YouTube, you'll probably find some of the tutorials. I have a few of them. In one or two of them, I do show you how to make it look exactly like mine, set the settings exactly how I have them. So check that out on the channel, of course. Oh, there you go. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Tony D. Jimmy, you don't even have to look. Just click that link right there. But yeah. And Rob the Crypto Stomp with the beginner series. If you guys are learning how to trade, just understand, guys, if we are going into a bear market, like I always say, there's no better time to learn how to make money when price goes down than if you are going into a bear market, right? So hopefully it's not a bear market. It's looking a lot likely, like it's looking a high probability that it is. But that does not mean that you cannot make a ton of money on the way down. I mean, you can long and short and you make money both ways. Bull market, bear market. Not really. Bull market, this is just another bull market if you know how to short the market. Obviously, you don't have your spot bags growing alongside you, but you can still make tons of money. And it also keeps you interested, right? And on the charts when will likely be the best time to be paying attention to the charts, which is when everybody walks away. You don't have to leave and then wait for Bitcoin to put in a new all-time high to get into crypto, right? As a matter of fact, it's much better to pay attention during the bear markets. This is where the money is made. You could even argue if you bought up here, it's not where the money is made, right? You miss out on this entire move up. This is the time to pay attention. If we are indeed seeing something similar that has happened in the previous cycles and we are going into a bear market, right? If it's going to be something like this, which, you know, I've drawn this out before. Excuse me, to resize it a little bit just to make it fit. I'm not expecting it to be exactly like this. But, you know, this is very similar, right? Bring it down to like 50K. If you are going to see something like this, you can make money 100% on these moves to the downside. And this is where you're going to want to be paying attention to buy in for the next cycle. Of course, assuming that the top is in and we are going into a traditional bear market. So there you go. That's what I'm looking at. Hopefully we could get some positive price action here on Bitcoin. I'm kind of sick of talking about these lower prices, guys. I want to, even if it's for a retracement, we want to talk about some of these higher targets. Let's get some relief here on Bitcoin. But thank you guys for tuning in. Try to stick through it, guys. I promise this market will reward you at some point. But yeah, where is my OBS? I don't even know if I'm on my face cam here. Yeah. All right. So with all that being said, that's all the time I got for today's live stream. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us here. Smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And go check out that beginner series if you want to learn how to trade. It's all here for free, guys. No excuses. Put in the work. Watch the tutorials. Take notes. Even demo trade. Practice on a demo account. There's no risk. Get your dirty stank fingers dirty. Get your dirty stank fingers wet in the markets and try to play around and catch your footing here. But guys, with all that being said, that's all the time I got for tonight. Shout out to Genius. Shout out to NW Crypto, Gen Z, Base Bailey, Jesse, Musha, Jimmy James, Crypto Sharknado. Shout out to Crypto Sharknado. And oh, man, these names are crazy, man. I just can't recognize anybody. And Jedi Skirk. But thank you guys for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time. Pray for Bitcoin. Watch that 4-hour money flow crossover. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the f is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Space shine for me.
Yeah. Head up up in the clouds, dog, they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Who said it? Who said it? Somebody said it. I forgot who. Oh, shout out to Brian. Says, where do you get your values for MPOCs, exo charts, perpetual inverse, Bybit USD? Actually, I didn't read that far into it. I was going to tell you, you can look at it for many different ways, right? I like to use exo charts. So they pop up on all these time frames, but yeah. Bybit USD. That is where I pull it from exo charts. And then also on TradingView, I have a tutorial on the channel, speaking of free tutorials, to teach you how to put this MPOC template on your TradingView chart so you don't have to go back and forth to exo charts. I prefer the exo charts MPOCs because you can change the tick size. But if you don't have exo charts, you can do it on TradingView as well. You can click MPOCs here. I show you how to set up the template, and you would just go to your daily time frame if you set it up the way I have it. And then there's all your daily MPOCs. You can go to the weekly. There's your weekly MPOCs. Pull up the monthly. There's your monthly MPOCs. So there you go. Nice and simple. And then you can just grab a horizontal line, pop it over there, right? And then you can label it MPOC, right? Which you could also set templates for. That's what I have it for. So monthly, MPOC. And then you can just drag them, mark them off super fast, super quick. Takes 2 seconds. But I do oftentimes take them from exo charts. But you could also do it on TradingView. Very, very useful way to do it. Quick, easy, and simple. But there you go. Had to lead you guys with a little bit of extra sauce. So with all that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Same place, same time. That's all I got. Ostapasia. Chat's crazy right now. Frankie Candle's out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command, like, yeah, you about to see me on demand, like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't ever going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to
style.